Hi, I'm Jason Odell, and today I want to talk about a technique that goes back to classical painting. And so I've got this image up on my screen right now. This is a famous painting by Rembrandt called The Night Watch. And what you can see in this image is that your eye immediately goes to areas of interest that Rembrandt has defined by making certain figures in this picture more brightly colored, his use of light. Notice that the main characters in the foreground are fairly well illuminated. They have bright colors and their faces, but also you notice this smaller girl in the background. She's also fairly well illuminated, while the characters in the background, the rest of the individuals in this picture, are somewhat diminished. We can still see their faces, but they're softer, they're not as well defined, and there's not as much light. You can also see that the background really falls off and is fairly dark. I bring this up because we can use this same technique in our own images, and it can be quite useful actually when we're post-processing. So let me go over to Lightroom, where I have an image of a bighorn sheep. And this is the raw image out of the camera, and it clearly needs a little adjusting. So I went into the develop module with this image, and I've actually gone ahead and made some basic adjustments. And those adjustments included changing the white balance, adjusting the color and the contrast. But what you have in this image is a subject who is making eye contact with us, in this case the sheep, surrounded in a field of flowers. But the background is actually a little bit lighter than the foreground. So what I want to do is improve this image by using some of the same concepts that Rembrandt displayed in his classical paintings. Now you can do this in one of two ways. You can use the brushes in Lightroom to try to brighten up the face and darken the background, or you can use a plugin. And what I want to do actually is use Nik Software's Viveza 2 to do this. So I've made my basic adjustments on my raw file, and now I'm going to do Edit in Viveza 2. It asks me what kind of file I want. I'm going to go ahead and choose a TIFF file and click Edit. This is going to launch the program. Lightroom's creating a TIFF in the background. Brings up Viveza 2. Now in Viveza 2 I can use Nik's U-point technology to make quick selections with control points. So what I want to do is I want to brighten the subject and I want to diminish the background. So I'm going to click Add Control Point. Let's put one right here onto the sheep's face, and I'm going to increase the brightness a little bit, increase the contrast, and I'm also going to increase structure just to add a little bit more local contrast. Makes it more interesting. That's an optional step. If I want to see what this control point is doing, all I need to do is come over here to the control point list on the right hand panel and check the box next to control point 1 to show its mask. So you can see all the white areas are what this mask has selected. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so we get the face. And now I'm going to duplicate this control point by holding down the Option key, or if you're on a PC, it's the Alt key, while clicking and dragging. I'm going to put another one here, make this one a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to put control points up here on the sheep's horns. I'm going to drag my mouse and select both of these control points, which allows them to be temporarily linked. I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller. So now let's go ahead and look at our selection again. You can see I'm mostly selecting the sheep. Now that's good, but now I want to diminish the background. So I'm going to uncheck the mask. Let's add another control point on the background. And now this one is not going to select the sheep, it's going to select the background. In fact, if I look at its selection, you can see it's mostly pulling out the background. Now I'm going to diminish the brightness, set it down. Now when I lower the brightness in these controls, I'm making an RGB or a color adjustment. So I'm going to also lower contrast, and I'm going to lower saturation a little bit. And this is sort of done to taste as you deem necessary. I'm going to now copy this control point, make duplicates. Again, I'm holding down the Alt or the Option key on my keyboard. Going to put one here, going to put one here, and one down here. If I find that it's affecting these horns too much, I can always add another control point and just adjust its settings accordingly. So here we go. Now what I've done here is created almost like a spotlight effect. I'm going to click Save, and it's going to send my image back to Lightroom. Okay. So now let's pull up my film strip and let's compare it with the original image. So here is the before image and here is the after image. You can really see when we toggle those how much that has improved.